Hi friends, today we're going to make a get well card using some stamping techniques and basic masking technique. So I have this stamp, it's an older stamp from Hero Arts. It's called Angels in a Vase, and I just stamped it on some white cardstock, and I stamped it again on some computer paper, and I just cut out the vase portion. That's the part we're going to mask. So I'm going to use my temporary adhesive, which I use a refill, and I just use it like glue dots. And I just put a little bit of the temporary adhesive on it and overlay that vase over my stamped vase on the cardstock to protect it. And then I have this kind of a zigzag pattern background stamp from Martha Stewart, and I'm going to stamp all across this entire image using crumb cake ink from Stampin' Up!, which is basically just a craft ink. And if you had a large background stamp, that would be a little bit easier than what I'm doing, but I liked this zigzag pattern and I did not have it large, so I have to stamp it multiple times and try to line it up as best as I can. And I'm not masking these flowers because I'm going to be coloring them in with a darker color, so it will hide some of this pattern, but if some of this pattern shows through, I think it actually looks kind of nice. So I'm not masking the flowers because of that. So that's what I have so far. So now I'm going to remove the mask. And so you can see at the vase it did not get the stamping on it. Okay, so now I'm going to color, and I'm going to use a blender pen from Stampin' Up. I don't know, I haven't seen these from any other company, so I don't know if anyone else provides this blender pen. So basically it gives you a watercolor look without using water. And I'm using 3 colors. I'm using my markers from Stampin' Up! Again, because I don't have the ink pads of these colors, so I'm just going to show you the way I use these. I just take my acrylic block and I just scribble on the acrylic block somewhere, and that's my palette. And then I just use that with my blender pen to get ink. And so I'm just going to color right over these flowers. And what the blender pen does is it basically kind of fades the color, sort of like Copic markers would, so you can get a watercolored look. So you can get dark and then light. And then to change color, I just scribble on scratch paper until it's clear, and then switch colors. So now I'm going to use Rich Razzleberry, which is a purple. So just scribble somewhere else on the acrylic block, use the blender pen, and just pull that ink. Okay, and then I'm going to do one more pink one. So I'm just going to scribble again, and just use the blender pen. And with Stampin' Up!, these blender pens have 2 sides, and you get 3 in a pack. So you actually get 6 tips, and they last a really long time. I've had mine for years, and I still haven't had to order another one, so they really last a long time. Okay, and then for the blue, I do have the ink pad. I have Marina Mist. So with the same blending pen, all I do is squeeze the ink pad and then flip it open, and now I have a palette on the lid. And so I'm going to do the same, just same blender pen, just scribble out to get the color off of it. And once it's clear, then I can start coloring. So then I just pick up this color here. Just make sure, yeah. And then start coloring. Okay, so there's my colored in image. So now I'm just going to trim it down. Okay, to soften it up, I'm going to round the corners with my corner chomper. I'm going to use the 1/4 inch setting. And I'm going to round all 4 corners. I'm going to layer that on some craft cardstock here. Okay, I'm going to tear this edge just for some texture. And I'm going to sponge the edge there with the crumb cake just to emphasize that edge a little bit. And actually I'm going to sponge the entire thing. Okay, I'm going to round these corners too, just so it matches. Okay, so I'm using this green card base because I've had this in my stash for a really long time and I still haven't used it. So that's where that's going to go. I have this old sentiment, get well soon. I've had this also forever. So I'm just going to use this cardstock and I'm going to stamp it in chocolate chip brown. And I'm going to use my large oval punch. Punch that out. And I'm going to sponge that also with the crumb cake ink. And then just to add a little more emphasis to the sentiment, I have a scratched piece of crumb cake, a craft cardstock. I'm going to lay that there. But I also have this artisan tape from Pink Paisley, and it is actually a little bit wider than my strip. And so I just thought that would be a nice little look, so I get that border. So I'm going to line this up as best I can straight. Let me just tear that off. Okay. Then I'm going to lay this cardstock right on top of that, so it gives it a nice little extra touch. Okay, and now I'm just going to adhere this down. Okay, so now just to finish it off and add a little bit more emphasis, I'm going to use Crystal Effects from Stampin' Up, which is similar to Glossy Accents. And I'm just going to add this over this water just to make it have a glaze. And then I'm going to add it over the flowers just to make the color pop. Alright, and so there, I hope you can see the shimmer on that. So there's the finished card. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Bye-bye.